How did the kid from your school die? Playing along a fast-moving creek deep in the woods. First teen gets pulled under really fast. Second one immediately runs and dives in to find him. A minute later, first teen comes back up on the other side, exhausted but thankfully unhurt. Guy who went in to find him was not coming back up. Was in the days before cell phones. Had to run a good mile back up the trail, hop in the car, drive to the nearby park ranger office, East Texas Big Thicket area, and report, get help, along with guide rescuers. Took about 30 minutes total to get back out there to the accident. Still no sign of him. Rescue workers found that under the higher waters were tons of tree debris everywhere. 2 days of removal while still trying to control fast-moving waters, his body was finally found. Had dived too deep trying to find the first friend, getting trapped under the submerged branches, without enough energy or breath to fight against the current to get out and back up. He was only 15. Of all things, an unfortunate camping accident. This was before cell phones. 2 friends went out for the weekend to a campground for some fishing over the weekend. When they didn't arrive home at the time they said they would, the parents called the provincial park to see if they were running a bit late. The weather wasn't great and the camp was about an hour away from town, so it was entirely possible they decided to stay another night and drive out in the morning instead. The park warden stumbled upon their campsite and found both of them dead in their shared tent. Turns out it was a cool night and they decided to run a small heater in the tent to be warm. But it was an old heater that didn't have a shut-off sensor built in. The heater ran all night while they were asleep, and since they didn't open the flaps on their tent for air circulation, because they wanted to trap the heat, the tent filled with carbon monoxide and suffocated them in their sleep. So sad. And a week before school too. Fight with another kid. Got punched in the head, hit the ground, lights out. I was friends with both of them. Edit. For those asking what happened to the other kid, I don't know. I never saw him again. He was 11, which is too young for juvenile detention in California. Testicular cancer at age 12. Really nice boy too. Grade 5. He was playing with his little brother when they found their dad's duty pistol. Little brother shot him right between the eyes. Can't imagine how the little brother feels. Was about 50 years ago. Grade school. Rainy day. Bell rang and little girl panicked about being late, ran out in front of a school bus. I saw it happen. Suicide in the forest behind my garden. Kidnapped, raped and murdered by a serial pedophile killer nicknamed the Man with the Mask during school camp. We played together 3 days before. The killer had a spree over decades in different countries. Craziest part is, a soldier stationed close to the campsite saw the man and my friend Ina car during a night run in the woods. Shortly after, the soldier was sent to Iraq. Years later after he returned, he heard about the case and remembered that night and the car model he saw. This clue led to the arrest, trial and sentence of a previous suspect. Autoerotic asphyxiation. Before the term was common knowledge. What they told us at the time was that he had hung himself. Peace out, Randy. Sorry your brother had to find you that way. Fun fact. I got suspended for 3 days for an unexcused absence attending his funeral. Just didn't wake up one morning. His mom found him dead in his bed. Turned out he had some condition they had no way of knowing about. Can't imagine anything worse as a parent. He and 2 friends were ucking around with a shotgun. It was loaded and killed him. One of the friends, the one holding the gun I believe, committed suicide a month or so later from the guilt. He was playing football and randomly passed out, never woke up again. There was the one kid in elementary school who was riding his bike and got hit by a car. The school's infinite wisdom was to reiterate the dangers of not wearing your helmet while riding a bike. Fantastic memorial. There was the guy who drunk drove into a pole to avoid a squirrel, as the surviving passengers put it. But the hardest one to think about was my kindergarten classmate. She survived, but her baby sister was killed in the Oklahoma City bombing. I don't think anyone I went to school with is dead yet, but I know one of my old classmates is on death row in Florida, so that's gotta count for something. Hit by a drunk driver while in a car with 4 people. W's ejected 30 feet from the backseat. Mons got up, walked to a burning car, actually ripped the door off, pulled out all 3 other people and dragged them 10 to 15 away, then collapsed. Succumbed to heist injuries at the hospital later, apparently had a broken femur, collarbone, wrist and arm, amongst other things. The other 3 only had minor injuries, and the car exploded like 3 to 5 minutes after he pulled them out. Dude was actually a hero. 3 people died shortly after graduation in a head-on collision with a semi-truck. Edit. Since I've had a couple people ask, this was in northern CA. Sacramento area. Edit again. Upvote you, M. Generix's response to this comment to visibility. That chain has the whole story complete with a fun guessing game. Ran over a nest of wasps in his riding mower. Went into anaphylactic shock. Ran over by the mower. Got his head blown apart with a shotgun by another kid from my school. Like 5 of them died of drunk driving accidents, 3 of them at one time. Little redneck school in the middle of nowhere. Apparently people seem to think drinking and driving is the only way to have fun. Self-inflicted shotgun to the head. She was merciless, sly, bullied throughout school. Junior year of high school, and it was too much. The school and diocese consistently turned blind eye to bullying and other disciplinary complaints towards children from priority families. The priest had the audacity at the funeral to talk about the selfishness and sin of suicide. Older student broke into the chemistry lab, joking around with his friends, sniffed some chemical that I can't remember. I was at my break and just heard the sirens. His girlfriend broke up with him. He didn't take it well. One afternoon after school, he walked down Toth Primary School near our high school and shot himself in the head right outside the entrance. Didn't know him well, but I don't think he had all that many friends. He always had sad eyes but was very nice whenever someone spoke to him. In childbirth she was just 14. What is the greatest cartoon of all time? Futurama. Not the dog episode. Avatar. Gravity Falls is incredible for being only 2 seasons. I think when it comes to the story told in the fewest number of seasons, I think Gravity Falls and Over the Garden Wall reign supreme. Original Tom and Jerry. Batman the Animated Series. Also Courage the Cowardly Dog. It was literally the most horror show I've seen in my entire life. Definitely Looney Tunes. Adventure Time. The Simpsons. SpongeBob. What are deal-breaker fetishes and why? Scat fetish. I ain't into ISS and hit. Had a guy once ask if he could watch bestiality during X. Needless to say, it was an instant turn-off and X did not happen. Cannibalism is fairly high on my list. Dead or killing things, people, rodents, etc. Pav. You're scrolling through the comments making sure your kink isn't here. My 2 were only mentioned once here. Edit. Re-scrolled through the comments after the post blew up. One of mine is rarely mentioned, the other is like once every 10 comments or so. This has a funny story attached. Someone asked me if I was into water sports. Back when I had Tinder, I told them I couldn't swim. Booty like to kayak with my life vest on. That day I learned water sports have very little toto with both water and sports. For the record, I'm not into water sports. I feel like playing with waste products just isn't for me. Tax evasion and insider trading. Mommy, I let you suck on my nipple and this is how you repay me. One guy the first almost went on a date with asked me if I would UCK one of my cousins. When I said no, he said, what if you were really drunk and it was dark? And then also told me that he wanted to have a threesome with my mom and I ghosted him so quick. Whipping fetishes. I grew up being beat with a belt and I don't need to be doing that to someone else. Bruising. Had a girl wanting me to beat her and give her bruises. I respectfully declined and she kicked me out of her apartment. She called me H on my way out the door. Good times. Them not making a X-related AskReddit post on a daily basis. I don't do oop, blood or vomit. I might try pee-play, but don't expect to. I'd consider anything else that is legal. What is something you are sure most people do but no one admits to? Pick their nose. Make up excuses to get out of invitations to social gatherings and other events you don't want to attend. Everyone has run up their stairs on all fours at tone point. We all procrastinate, judge, and doubt ourselves. It's the human trifecta. Thinking about having X with a stranger who is sitting in the same room as you. Casually touch their genitals in a comforting gesture. Thinking about suicide or intentionally accelerating their death. Let me clarify, just thoughts, not actually planning or acting on those thoughts. Enjoy the smell of the most heinous fart they can produce and then quietly say, God amen. Yep, girls do it too. Do a complete visual analysis of whatever pimply, blackheady, puss-y thing you've managed to find and extract from your skin. Even if it's almost microscopic. What is a red flag that you are in a bad restaurant? Long menu. Pages and pages of food that doesn't really make sense or go together. The restaurant isn't even busy but they take a gesto serve you, and when they finally do they seem reluctant. Ethnic restaurant with no customers of that ethnicity in a town with a large population of that ethnicity. The very moment Gordon Ramsay appears and calls the employees ucking donkeys. Sushi, pizza, and burritos are all on the menu. Huge, unfocused menu. I've eaten at rat holes with amazing food and had terrible food at nice steakhouses. Both can have people cooking for minimum wage and bad management. If it's a small ethnic restaurant and you see kids doing homework at one of the tables, try the food, it's always good.